Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, Brains and Beauty. I'm a PhD student studying brains and also a beauty lover, and on my channel I focus on creative conscious consumerism. So part of that is doing monthly themed shop my stashes. So each month I have a theme like a fantasy or a style theme, and with that theme in mind I go through my collection and I basically shop my stash for one product from each of the color cosmetic categories, so I end up with a minimalistic collection to play with for that month. Now last month the theme was like a classic Hollywood star, so I was really focusing on eyeshadows that were kind of brown, neutral, golden, and I had a black liner in here and I had a bold red lip. Now I actually only focused on these for 2 weeks. I explained why in the last video. I can link it up above. But even though it was only 2 weeks, I used these so much, like as much as some of my other products when I have them for a whole month. So I'm definitely excited to give you guys some speed reviews on the products that I've been focusing on, and of course on the picture frame palette of all of the single shadows that I was playing with. So that's what we're going to do. First I'm going to go through the products that I was playing with, and then we can go ahead and shop my stash for the following theme. So let's just get right into it. I want to start with the e.l.f. Baked Highlighter in Moonlight Pearls. This is such a beautiful highlighter. You can hear me rave about it in my Project Pan finale last year, and that's how I got like the huge dip and hit pan on it. But like, you would think I'd be sick of this highlighter, but no, I love it so much, and I'm so happy that I was able to play with it for the 2 weeks in May. Oftentimes with highlighter, I use it as like a last step, like it's the last thing that I apply, just the final touch on the inner corner and on the cheeks. But I found myself just gravitating and reaching for this before I even did my eyeshadows. Like I would just straight away go to putting on some highlighter, and that kind of encouraged me to be like, okay, I have my highlighter on, let me do some eyeshadow too today. So it really actually made me use all of the products more because I was always wanting to wear it and do my makeup because I wanted to wear it. I think the main reason why I love it so much is it gives that inner glow, very soft sheen, and it's exactly my skin tone. If you are a olive, like a light olive cool tone person, you're going to love this because the neutral cool tones are just perfect. It's not one of those like pink kind of highlighters that can clash with your olive undertones. It's just a beautiful neutral. So yeah, I enjoyed this so much. I used it 11 times. So I pretty much almost wore makeup every day in those 2 weeks, which is so like unusual for me. That's not how I usually am, but I used this 11 times total in the 2 weeks, and I loved it throughout. Now, usually in these updates, I try to compare how I've been using these products to how I used them in the previous year. And because this wasn't a Project Pan in the previous year, of course I used it so much more. I used it 117 times last year, but still, I think 11 times out of like the 14 days that I had. That's amazing for how much I use this product. So yeah, loved it. I could like see this being my only highlighter. Maybe this one and like the ABHM Reezy for when I want a gold, and this one when I want like a neutral. Those two just, they're just my top highlighters. I love them so much. So yeah, really enjoyed this. Next, something that really surprised me is this Urban Decay shadow. So this is the eyeshadow in Half Baked, and it is just this kind of satin, sort of metallic gold neutral shade. And the thing that surprised me is that like I have not reached for this much, and I've always felt kind of bad that I haven't reached for it much because that like shows in my numbers. So when I look at how much I used it last year, I literally used it 0 times in 2021. And I think that's because whenever I think of a gold, I always gravitate to my really special gold multi-chromes. And so even when I was like putting this into my Shop My Stash, I was like, well, I'm also shopping for these. Will I even use it? Maybe once, maybe twice. But I actually used this 6 times. So I used it quite a few times, and I actually only used these ones a handful of times. So I used Cathedral once, Opulent once, and Ornamental twice. So I use this more than those, and I think what I really found out like this month is that this is a really nice neutral gold. Like it's not a very warm gold, but it doesn't work with like it's not cool toned enough that you could actually use a cool toned brown with it. You have to pair it with warm tones, and I feel like whenever I would reach for some of the warmer browns here, it looked really well with those. So I think that's why I really felt like I could wear it often. And it just provided like a really nice satin soft sheen on my lids. It was a very nice like everyday gold basically. So yeah, I'm just happy that like I figured out how to really enjoy this. I feel like moving forward, I definitely will be using it more because it worked with lighter looks, but it also worked with glam looks. So I just think that this was a really nice thing to roll in this month and really get to know it well. I guess next let's talk about the liner. So I put in a black liner because this is like a typical black wing is a very classic look. So I used this 7 times and I really got to know the product well. I feel like it was a very nice liquid liner. I did find, because when I purchased this in a separate order after I got the primary palette, I did get these like bottles so you can put in water in here, and I find that that was a lot more user friendly for every day, just to be able to plop some of the water in instead of like going to the sink and grabbing water and everything. So yeah, I think this was really easy to use, and I'd love to have this as like a black liner in any other month. I did try out a new technique with this in terms of doing a black liner. I'm always doing this where I'm like kind of playing with how to slightly tweak makeup techniques on the eyes and just to like adjust them so that they're better for me. And this month I played with using a black liner on the outer edge and on the inner edge, but not lining the center of my like, you know, lash line. And that was such a pretty effect, especially for my round eyes. I feel like I should just demonstrate it someday in a video, but it's really interesting how if you try to like line your full lash line when you have round eyes, it's going to actually pull your eyes down no matter what you do, even though you're trying to lift them with the wing, because the way of like the curve of your eye is so steep when you have round eyes that it will just pull it down regardless. And so not lining the like the middle part was actually really, really nice. So yeah, definitely had fun, figured out something new to do when I do wing liners. So yeah, I enjoyed this. Now, surprisingly, I didn't enjoy this one as much as I thought I would. So I used this 4 times, and I usually leave this liner for very special occasions. So I actually didn't use it much last year. I only used it once because there wasn't much special occasions. We were in a pandemic. And so yeah, but I thought I would really enjoy using it this month because I leave it for special occasions because it's so pretty. It's so like sparkly, and I always get compliments when I wear this. So I thought I would really like treat myself with this month. But I think I'm kind of past the stage of these types of like glitter liners because wearing it regularly was such a hassle to remove at the end of the day. I felt like I always got a little bit of it stuck in my eyes when I was trying to wash it off. Like it was just not worth the hassle to wear it regularly. So yeah, I'll still keep it for like those special occasions, but I didn't realize how much I wouldn't like wearing glitter regularly. And I think I'm just probably spoiled by all of these really special indie eyeshadows. All of them are super sparkly and give me a really pretty effect without having to deal with like worrying about this getting into my eyes when I wash it off at the end of the day. So yeah, I guess that's something that I'm reflecting more on. I mean, I wasn't planning to bring in any other glitters into my collection. I just thought like a gold and a silver are very basic ones, and I'll still keep them for those reasons, like the special occasion days. But I wish they were in the formula that the Too Faced one is, the one that I had rolled in for the mermaid month. That one was so easy to remove at the end of the day because it could peel off. And I don't know of any other brand that does like a peel off glitter liner. If you know, please let me know down below. I would love to, like once I finish this, replace it with a formula that's gold and silver, because I have another silver one of the Urban Decay glitter liner. So I'd love to replace them with like a peelable liner because that's just so much more user friendly, and I feel like I would actually be able to get a lot of use out of what I do purchase. Alright, let's do the classic red lipstick. So this is Ruby Woo from MAC. It's the kind of blue tone lipstick that just goes with every skin tone. And I don't know why, but I wasn't feeling this red this month. It's so strange because I do like this red. So I used it 7 times this month, and I didn't mind it when I would sheer it out. So if you sheer it out, it actually turns more pink, and so I often wore it like that. But I felt like when I went for the heavy red look and I put the black liner and I put the gold eyeshadows on and everything, I just felt like something wasn't right. And I feel like what I learned this month is that my classic look with a black liner and some brown smoky eyes, I prefer deeper on the lips when I do those looks. I think for something like this, I would prefer the eyes to be like a warm sunset kind of look, you know? But yeah, I still liked it when I shared it out as a pink. Now let's talk about these two, the pink in Tokyo and the brown one in Dubai. These like soft matte lip creams. I've been actually panning, but I thought this month I would use them on the cheek, like just dedicate the blush and bronzer category as these two. And I really, really love the way the brown looks. So I did a look, and this was what was on my cheeks. And it was really pretty. I feel like when I really shared this out, it almost had a bit of red to it that I never really noticed before. And it really showed me this month that this is more of a warmer brown than I think I thought in my head. Even though I've been using it, I just feel like I didn't really recognize that until I was comparing it to all these other different brown tones. It is very much like a warm brown. I think you could even see the tube. Like, this is a warm brown. And on the cheeks, the red in it really pulled out. And it gave me that kind of like sunburn, pink bronze look that I feel like has been really popular. So I really, really enjoyed that. That was a nice thing to experiment with. And I used this 6 times in those 2 weeks. And then Tokyo, this was an amazing discovery. So I put this on my cheeks. I put it where I usually color correct with pink. And I love the way this formula applies on the cheeks. This might be my favorite lip product that I can apply on the cheeks, because sometimes with like bullet lipsticks or with other liquid lipsticks like the NYX Lip Lingerie, you really have to be careful and quick to blend it out before it sets down. But this is so, so soft, and the finish is like this perfect velvet. Like, it makes my skin feel like velvet. It's such a nice formula, and it's so just soft and blendable and easy. Like, it shears out really nicely. And so I think this actually made me realize why I might want to purchase a liquid blush for my collection in the future. And if I ever do, it would be this type of formula where it would be a velvet satin finish. I definitely feel like I understand the appeal of a liquid blush now. I was even considering, like, maybe when I pan this, I should just repurchase it as a liquid blush for my collection, but it does have a scent to it, which is a really nice scent, but at the end of the day, I don't want to put anything that's scented on my skin just because I have sensitive skin. I don't need it to break out. It didn't break out during these 2 weeks, but you know, I just don't want to irritate it. So yeah, the scent is against it for it being a liquid blush, but it definitely has taught me that I would like a very sheer velvet formula for a liquid blush eventually when I like pan these. But yeah, so I really enjoyed using it the 10 times that I did. It wasn't very long lasting, but I'm going to continue playing with this and maybe seeing if I can top it with different powder blushes that I roll in and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely will keep you updated on this in my Project Pan videos. Alright, last but not least, the eyeshadows. So I use this palette 11 times, and I think that is also, again, like really a lot for me in terms of like I only had it for 2 weeks, so 11 out of 14 days is me using a lot of more makeup than I typically do. But I think it's just such a nice neutral palette that it was so easy to just throw on. This was also a palette that I panned last year, so of course I used it more times. I used it 55 times last year, and I used it 11 times in these 2 weeks. But one thing that I wanted to note that I found interesting was in those 55 times, I only used this shade 6 times. It was like my least used shade. I felt like whenever I was trying to deepen up a look, I would go straight for like the dark brown and I would just skip over this one. But in these 2 weeks, I used this 11 times. So I used it every single time I did an eye look. And I feel like I just really got to know this like interesting level of depth for an eyeshadow. It's like not deep enough that it's a deep shade, but it's not like a mid-tone shade. It's just this like in between. And I just really like this for like kind of giving some kind of soft smoky look. So it wasn't really deepening the outer corner, but it was just like emphasizing it. Like it was just giving it a touch more than you would get with a very mid-tone kind of brown. The second most used shade in this palette was this dark brown. Now this is expected. I also use this the most in 2021. I just really like this dark brown for deepening things up. My least used shade was this pink shade. I feel like it just was very similar to the e.l.f. highlighters. So if I was already using like that one, I didn't really need to reach for this one. And then most of the time my looks leaned more into the warm brown category because I'd be using this palette and then pairing it with these tones, and a lot of these are more warm. So let's quickly chat about the looks. So I did one really beautiful smoky look using the Huda Beauty olive brown over here, the sample. So I put this in the crease and I put Cathedral all over the lid. It's this gorgeous like olive brown rose kind of shifting shade, and the effect was just so beautiful. That was the look where I wore the Dubai soft lip cream on the cheeks and on the lips. That eye look was so stunning. It might be one of my favorite like neutral glam eye looks. It was just so beautiful. So yeah, and it looked even deeper in real life. I feel like that was one thing that I really noticed in these 2 weeks is I kind of struggled to take pictures of the eye looks because when something is like colorful, I feel like the camera does pick up the level of depth properly, but when it's like these neutral shades and they just kind of blend into my skin tone, I feel like the camera's not able to really detect like the difference between my skin and the shadow, so it just looks like I'm not wearing much makeup. So for a lot of the looks that I'm going to talk about, it looks like I'm wearing such minimal makeup, but in reality, like in real life, it looked like a perfect midway of like makeup. Like it wasn't full glam, but it wasn't like minimal makeup. It actually did look like I had eyeshadows on my eyes, but it's hard to capture in camera. So this was like the one look where I went super deep and super glam, and it actually like showed up on camera. But yeah, it was a beautiful eye look. And then I kind of felt like all my looks were just these like very neutral, pretty looks, and I wasn't doing anything like super fun. So I did a fun neutral eye with the warm caramel brown all over the lid, and then I did some white cake liner to kind of imitate like latte art, and then like I just did it like half the latte art on the eye, and then I topped it over with Phoenix at the end, just all over. It was like a fun like sprinkling. It just felt like a cinnamon latte moment, and I just enjoyed it. It was just fun to do. But yeah, the rest of the eye looks that I did were very like neutral eye looks where I would just throw in, I basically would go through almost all of these shades. I'd put this one under the brow bone, I would put this one in the middle of the crease, and then I'd deepen it up a little bit, and then maybe this on the lash line, and then I'd go in with any of these shimmers or metallics all over the lid. I especially used Rose's Remix a lot. Like this was one of my favorites to wear in these 2 weeks because it just adds so much sparkle, and like you can make it opaque so that it's more metallic, but I often just like topping it without any primer or anything over the other shadows and just letting like the soft rose like neutral sparkle just cover my eyes. It was so pretty. This was definitely a favorite in this round of my Shop My Stash. And also there was one day where I wore just Opulent all over the lid, and it's a beautiful one and done shadow. Like I didn't have any of the other mattes or anything. I just had this one on the eyes, and even by the end of the day, the sparkle was like so pretty. I wish I played with it more. I just feel like I just had so much to play with. But yeah, Opulent is definitely a beautiful mauve with so many multi-dimensional sparkles in it. And like Phoenix was really nice for adding in just like a really brilliant orange kind of shine. I wore one look where I had Phoenix on the inner corner and I had ornamental all over the lid, and it really showed me how kind of green ornamental is, because I don't really think of it as that much of a greeny gold, but it is compared to all the other golds that I have here. And you know, when I first like rolled this into my Shop My Stash, because I'm a very like color coordinating queen, I basically, the first like 3 days, I was like, okay, so I'm wearing brown now, because I didn't know how else to like think of how to pair these with anything else. And so I wore like all my cheetah and leopard prints. I wore like an overall that was like that, I wore a skirt that was like that, I wore a dress that was like that, and I was like, okay, I can't just wear this one print for 2 weeks straight. So then I allowed myself that like, just go ahead and wear other colors and other outfits. And if you feel like you have to color coordinate and it's not like working well and you want to bring in more colors, that's fine. So for one of the looks, I did have like a brown look, and then I had Glow, which is like this blue sparkly shade on the inner corner, because I was wearing blue that day and I just wanted it to go together. But after that, I kind of felt like, you know, most of my other looks, I was fine with just doing brown, even though I was wearing very colorful outfits, because it is very natural. Like it doesn't look like it's a color per se. It does feel like it's more of a skin tone shade. So yeah, overall, that was my experience for the 2 weeks. This picture frame palette might be one of my favorites. I just adore the background, the treats. It just, having this up on my desk was a serious treat. Like this was so fun. Now it's time to do the Shop My Stash for the next theme. So the next theme is going to be a princess month. Now, I did a queen month. That was like the first round of the Shop My Stash, and I feel like that is very different to me than what I think of when I think of a princess. Like a queen is like very jewel toned and, you know, royalty colors, and there's depth and shine and everything. I feel like with the princess, it's more soft. So we're going to focus on the pinks, as you can tell from my nails, and also focus on some other softer colors. So I'm going to put everything back, and then we'll get into shopping my stash for that theme. Okay, so the palette for this month has to be the HUDA NUDE palette. There are so many beautiful rose, purple, mauve tones in here. I just feel like this screams princess. So definitely this is going to be our focus palette for this month. And now I normally don't do this. I normally basically have that one focus palette and then have like the picture frame palette where I select single shadows to pair with that palette. But I feel like if you haven't watched the previous video, I did the whole thing on the Creepy Cute palette, but I feel like these pastels also scream princess to me and allows me to still be colorful and enjoy these really soft, lovely tones paired with the pink palette. So I'm going to roll in this one as well. Okay, so I feel like I'm almost done going through, like, rotating my single blushes, and I'm thinking I should probably start reaching into this blush palette. This is the only blush palette that I own, and I'm thinking if I want to roll this in, what I could do is I could focus on one blush each month. So for this month, I really want to play with this, like, baby pastel pink. I rarely ever reach for this one, and I really want to play with this one this month and just like figure out how to use it. And I feel like it is very princessy because it's like this really soft pink. So I don't think I'm going to be putting in any of the glitter liners. I think I'm going to have to roll in this single shadow for this month because it's literally called Glass Slipper. So I mean, it doesn't get more princessy than that. It's just this iridescent, whitish, minty kind of shade. So I'm going to put that in. And I think that will go really nicely with like the greens that were in the Creepy Cute palette, the pastel greens. Okay, and then the last two products I'm thinking of rolling in. So for the lipstick, I'm going to go with my HUDA from MAC, and it's just like this perfect rosy toned lipstick. It was like one of my go-tos. It's just like your classic perfect pink lip, and I feel like it'll go with the HUDA NUDE palette, and it gives that princess effect. And then in terms of the highlight, so I've like barely touched this highlighter. So this is a mini Becca highlighter in Rose Quartz, and it's just a really, really soft, like pink. So I think this will be really pretty. I'm gonna build it up a little bit. Yeah, I think it'll be a pretty like glow from within kind of look, so it'll be nice on the inner corner. And there we go. I think that is the perfect princess minimalistic collection. We've got a pink highlighter, we've got the single shadow and glass slipper, we've got a nice mid-tone pink shade for the lipstick, and a baby pink blush. I think I do want to grab a couple more single shadows. So I think I'll take these to my desk, and then we can quickly do some swatches of the eyeshadows and maybe like select a couple more single shadows, just because I feel like there are a couple that just scream princess that if I don't add those multichromes in this month, I don't know what I'd do. So I need those. So I'm going to take this like really small magnetic palette and maybe we can choose some shades together. Okay, so I'm going to put my basket on my desk, and then these are the two that we're going to be playing with. So this is a very like pink heavy, rosy, there's some peach tones, there's some mauve tones. So I feel like I'm set in terms of those colors. And then here we have the pastels. I am so tempted to just like shop my stash for the iridescent multichromes, like all of them, the rainbow iridescent multichromes, because if you saw that video where I went super in depth on the best pastel shadows, mattes, and then I talked about also multichromes and like making vibrant multichromes, so definitely check out that video. But yeah, I'm so tempted to just like roll in all of those shades, but I think I'm gonna leave that for like another month. I do want to make my birthday month very special, so in August I will probably do that. But for now, I want to not overwhelm myself, so I do have the Huda Beauty as like the focus palette. And this one, I'll just like dabble in these. They won't be a focus. So yeah, I don't think I'll be playing with all of the iridescent multichromes, but I feel like I have to add in some of these shades. Like you guys know, Glow is my Cinderella eyeshadow. I have to have it this month. Like I can't have a princess month without Glow. So I'm just going to add this one in. And I feel like the icy blue really goes with so many other colors. And then as well, I really feel like I can't have a princess month without rolling in glazed. Also, I haven't given glazed as much love as it deserves. And I think this paired with like all the pinks and the mauves will look really, really pretty this month. Glaze just gives me like Rapunzel vibes. So I can't wait to do a look like that. Okay, I'm super tempted to add in gilding. I mean, I'm so tempted to add in so many of these. Like even Looksy, I'm like, oh, it can, you know, it can be like another mermaid, princess mermaid moment. But like I did a mermaid month. I need to give Looksy a break. Ceres? But is it too similar to glazed? Let's put in Ceres, you know, for now, just so because I feel like I really, really want to play with this pastel multichrome. So I'm going to put it in here. Enamel could also pass, but I think I'm fine with not playing with it for this month. And then same thing with CL. I feel like another month I can play with it. I kind of want to put in Sunbeam, but again, I have so many pinks that I don't want to take away from playing with those. Again, like this was the Sigma Cinderella palette that I duped by mixing shadows in my collection to get the same color. But yeah, I just don't feel like rolling any of these in. Like I don't want these autumn shades. I want very spring, pastel, soft princess moment. Oh gosh, I am so tempted to roll in Rose's remix again, or like the sample of it. But I played with it so much in those 2 weeks. Like I really feel like I gave it the love it deserved, so I don't want to like overdo it. I honestly feel like I'm good. I feel like if I put anything else, I probably overwhelm myself. So I think what I really want though is I do want both this gray and the black. I have played with this gray since I just filmed that video with the Shroud Cosmetics Creepy Q palette. So these are both from the Creepy Q palette. And I do want to play more with this gray. I feel like it does a great job of just like neutralizing anything if it gets a little too intense. And so I feel like this would work also really well for a princess month. I kind of want to add the black too, just because like I think pastels really do benefit from having a black that you can smudge on your lash line. But maybe let me play with these, and if I need the black I might roll that in, but I'm gonna just try to see how I feel about the deeper shades in the Huda Beauty palette before I go in and play with that black. So I'm going to play with these deeper shades first. But yeah, I feel like this is the perfect little quad to supplement the two palettes. Oh my gosh, these colors are so me. Like, I don't know. I feel like if I was just to, you know, select a handful of shadows to forever, like these would be my shadows. Like, they're just so pretty. I love them. Oh, and before I forget, so these nails are actually the shade Daydream in the Huda palette, so I put that on the nails. But it was like a whole thing. Like I tried so many of these shadows trying to figure out what like pink nail set I want to wear for the princess month, and I kept going back and forth. And like I don't know if you guys saw in the clip where I was shopping my stash, but I'm wearing this like satin pink scarf for my shop, and it's just this color perfectly matches it. And so I was like, I'm just gonna go with this one, but I literally made so many, so let me show you. This is one I made, and this is the shade Fantasy, and then these two are the shades Tickle for this like deeper pink, and then for the mauvey purple it's this one. And then I even tried making Rose's remix, so the like pink shade that I had in last month, I also tried that, which I was also thinking maybe I would roll in Rose's remix, but these are enough. I think these are enough. If I really find myself wanting to dabble in that, we'll see and I'll update you, but I feel like I want to focus on these pinks. So let me give you a couple of swatches. Let's do this quad because I love it so much. So I'm going to go ahead and do Glow. I mean, can you blame me? How can I not have this month? And then Ceres. Which I also swatched this comparing all the pastel multichromes. But this is like the closest to like a vibrant pastel multichrome that you can buy on the market. So, so pretty. And then glazed, because so it reminds me of Rapunzel. And then lastly, this gray, which is Tombstone from Shroud Cosmetics. It is a really nice, like, creamy kind of gray. Let's do Daydream. And I already swatched this whole pastel palette in the recent video. I don't want to make this any longer because that one was so in-depth. But that's it. I'm going to have so much fun playing with these beautiful shades this month. I hope you enjoyed the video and hearing my thoughts on the previous products and enjoyed watching me shop my stash for this theme. So if you liked the video, please give it a like. And if you'd like to see more content like this, just loving the products that we already have, getting creative with them, please do subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!